We can get right into it. We had a good day of practice. We did some red zone today, so I'll go ahead and let y'all go.
We didn't see Eddie out there. What can you tell us about his day?
Yeah, he's going to be doubtful, and so we'll see how it goes tomorrow. See where he's at, but if he gets better tomorrow or on Sunday and all that whole deal, then that'll be good for him, and we'll get him out there. And if he's not, then it'll give an opportunity for other guys below him to to play a little bit. So that's where we're at with him.
He wasn't able to do anything today.
He wasn't what?
He wasn't able to do
No.
anything.
No.
Are you going to put him on a plane away, or?
I don't know. We're gonna work through that. Yep.
As much as you've missed Goldman last year, you've always had good depth on the defensive line to fill in and get to a certain point. Does Tonga, is it fair to say he fits into this plan if Eddie can't go? And if so, what do you think of him as a rookie coming in and in a big spot?
Yeah, he's been pretty impressive, Mark. If that is the case, after we get through the next 2 days with Eddie, Tonga would have a bigger role. So that'll be a good opportunity for him. But I do believe, too, like that's probably of all the positions on our team, that's something that we got a lot of depth at right now, which is good. So when this stuff happens, so we'll see the next 2 days. But I feel good with what Coach Rump has done with those guys, and then the other guys are going to have to step up if that's the case.
Are there any other doubtful players?
No, nope.
Matt, this is obviously the first time you've gone through game week preparation with Andy. I'm curious how that process has gone and how you guys have felt about the, collective input back and forth.
Yeah, Dan, that's been really good. Probably the biggest thing is just the details of how the practice goes. It changes from training camp a little bit, the periods that we have, the Wednesday, Thursday, Friday practices, and just kind of how we do things. Other than that, the football part's easy for those guys and the way he runs it, but more so than anything, it's just some of the little things of the way we do a period versus how we might have done it in training camp. It's been smooth.
What about the back and forth in terms of figuring out what you guys have up and what's going on the
Gotcha.
all those
Gotcha. Yeah, that's been really good, that process. Again, it's the first time that we're truly going through that part of it, too, with game planning and scheming. So the one thing with Andy that I really appreciate is, he's very open and honest. So if he has an idea or suggestion, he's going to say that. He does it in a way that, he has conviction with it because he has done it, but he's also willing to explore if there's a unique play or something that he has or hasn't done. So we knew that going into it. He's got that relationship with Bill, so it's been very seamless.
Matt, with Sean Gibson, did something happen in practice yesterday, or is it just cumulative?
No, I don't think so. I think I think everything's fine. Yeah.
Talking about suggestions, how much input does Andy Dalton have in the offensive scheme? A few of the defensive players are talking about Sean Desai having a suggestion box for them.
Mm-hmm.
Similar on offense?
Always. Yeah, it's all of those guys. There's always a little bit of a fine balance, but Andy's got a great demeanor to him with that. The nice thing with Andy is that you can actually say, hey, go to 2018, play 6. And he can, or play 10, play 12, and you can see it versus different coverages. That's what's nice about him, that he'll have those experiences. He'll have the whys behind he wants to put it. Some guys come to you and they just draw stuff up, like on a napkin, and you never know if that's going to work or not.
Coach, when you talk about game planning, you're obviously a quarterback, a hard offensive guy. You want to light the scoreboard up. But we've seen other offensive coaches, John Gruden, Brian Billick, have a lot of success kind of tailoring their overall game plan to the strength of their team. When you look at your roster, do you feel a need to kind of play complementary football to your defense, not put the ball in harm's way, punt when you need to punt, or do you still just try to run up on offense as best you can?
Yeah, no, we want to score as many points as we can, and I think that'll be complementary to our defense if we do that. But at the same point in time, I think it's probably the big picture of defensively, forcing 3 and outs, getting field position, turnovers, takeaways, everyone always talks about, but making them kick field goals in the red zone and not touchdowns. But then offensively too, if you're going to have a long drive, finish with a touchdown. If you're going to have some explosive plays, make it be for a touchdown. So just scoring in general is probably what helps, and that time of possession deal is big, and it can tire you out one way or the other sometimes. So I'm not necessarily looking for a specific recipe with how our defense or offense is. I'm looking more so of game to game. Are we playing smart football? Are we efficient? Every game's going to be a little bit different, but are we situationally smart?
Factor that into like fourth and short decisions here or there, or when to punt, or
yeah, we go through all of that. We do. We work a lot of that in training camp, big picture, generically, and then we get to the season, and now you go schematically versus that defense or that offense, special teams. So yeah, we work on that.
Matt, what struck you about Sean Desai since he got into this job and going through those preseason games with him? What's he like on the headset during the game and managing his side of the ball?
So on the headset during the game, extremely calm, which I love. You know, just the players feel that when he's calling a play in to whoever that is at the time during the game, regular season, preseason, they feel that. They understand that. I like that about him because he believes in what he's saying. And sometimes, you know, there's times where there's a couple plays where in a row where you're getting gashed and there's no panic. You know, I think that's where you feel it the most is there's no panic. It's just nice and calm. But then if he needs to get on him a little bit, I've seen that dark side too. You got to have that dark side. And he has that. So I appreciate that about him. During the season, during the week, what I see is somebody, he'll come into my office and he'll give me a sheet of paper that is extremely detailed with how the day's going to go, right? Or what his coaches are doing. He's coaching his coaches too. You know, we all coach our players, but he's coaching his coaches. So for a first-year guy doing it, this isn't something that he's been thrown into the fire. He's been prepping for this, and that's why he did such a great job in his interview, and that's why we believe in him.
When you got here in 2018 and you were looking to how you were going to manage that staff, what were you told about Sean? Kind of what struck you when those first impressions?
Well, right away, you know, he was a quality control coach at that time under Vic, but what struck me wasn't what I was told, but what I saw. You know, what I was able to see with him being with Vic all the time. I could see what Vic saw in him. I could see and sense that Vic trusted him a lot. That's why when Vic tried to get him, Vic wasn't getting him. So I saw that. And in all honesty, I appreciated that, and I saw him grow. And I've had conversations with him. And then you see him how he interacts with the players as a position coach as he moved up. And so when he had the opportunity this offseason, he did an unbelievable job, and now we get to the true test, you know. And is it going to be perfect for him? No, it's not. But I 100% believe in him. I'm excited to see what he's going to do.
Matt, what are you doing for captains?
Say that?
What are you doing for captains?
We're going to go weekly, like we always do. This week it's going to be DHC on special teams. It'll be David Montgomery on offense, and it'll be Roquan Smith on defense.
Matt, this is the third time you've opened up with a big primetime game.
Yeah.
Is there anything you learned from the last couple that you're applying to this one?
Yeah, there's a few things. Some of it is more so of the day of schedule a little bit with the nighttime games and how we go with that and what we do. Very minor, nothing that's going to truly affect how a game is played. But I think you also learn too what can happen. Big picture is. Sometimes you go into training camp, you go into week one, you know your opponent for months and months and months, and before you know it, you have this menu that is really big with what you want to do. So there's always a balance of that because you are able to practice a lot in training camp, but yet you want to make sure that these guys play fast.
Why do you pick David Montgomery?
I just think he's somebody that exemplifies. There's a lot of guys I could have picked. But he's somebody that exemplifies from start to finish just everything about how the day goes. I think he's worked extremely hard to get to this point. He's being a leader out there on the field. I see it. I feel it. The guys see it and they feel it. But, you know, the way we do this, picking one guy, it's hard. You wish you could pick more, but I know the guys appreciate that.
Circling back to Adam's question in terms of the primetime games, the result of week one primetime games can sometimes feel more significant.
Yeah.
Have you learned anything in that regard of processing it properly?
Yeah, so I go back to Green Bay for 18 and 19, and so I'm thrown into it there in 18 with Lambeau Field, and the first game we go out and Khalil has like 7 sacks and 3 touchdowns, and he didn't practice one training camp practice, and then we lost, you know, and so that was hard how to react to that. Probably didn't know what I didn't know at that point in time. So then you get to the second year in 19 and you're playing them again, and it's the 100-year anniversary, and there's a lot of stuff going on, and you know, we got to a point where I just feel like that might have been a time where maybe we had a little bit too much in going into that game. So we learned as coaches for that. So all in all, you learn a little bit in different ways. We feel like, I think we've been about, you guys can check it, but I think we're about 50-50 on primetime night games. There's been some good ones, but there's been some bad ones. So we're trying not to focus too much on when it is, but more so of just about when we get out there. Let's just go play football.
On both sides of the ball, matchups are obviously huge in a game like this. I've got kind of a silly question, I guess, about matchups. Who responds to who? does someone have last change? Does some, do they respond to you putting receivers, certain set of receivers, or do you respond to them putting nickel back? I mean, how does that work?
I don't know. I guess we'll see as the game goes on.
I mean, in the course of a game in general, how does?
Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, oh, you're saying for us? Like, how do we?
In general,
Yeah, it's a communicative process with the coaches and just seeing, different personnels, and you can get a feel once you're into it. It's not the first drive, it's not the second drive, but once you get, into the second quarter, you'll have an idea of what the flavor is. On both sides, they're going to know from us defensively, same with us offensively, and we're going to know theirs, and you'll get an idea and a tell. And then you got to adjust. And if you don't have an answer to a problem, then you better have an answer, because if it doesn't get fixed, these coordinators are good and they're going to keep it going until you fix it. So that's where you got to rely on your coaching staff.
Does it ever work out, let's say, when you were in Kansas City with the offense that was really high-powered, you were calling play, did you ever just put guys out there and say, hey, beat us? In other words, not be concerned about what.
Sure. There's times where that happens, but I think really when you build your game plan, you kind of try to do that as much as you can throughout the week with where you're putting people and why you're putting them there. So some of that is, I think that would probably be more of, sometimes if you have a matchup that you like, it might not be schematically. There might be somebody that you're trying to go after every play on defense, or you might have somebody that's whether it's a running back or a wide receiver that has a matchup, then you're going to work that. They might get a guy hurt, right? Now you got to go attack that, but you got to be on that. So it's all a little bit per game.
Coach, there are a few guys around the league that can completely wreck your game plan. You've got one in Khalil Mack. When you look at Aaron Donald, are there parts of your playbook where you're just throw that out? We can't do that this week. This dude is too good.
Yeah, I mean, he's a player that can change the outcome of a game more than a lot of players. I mean, he's a generational talent, is what he is, right? We all know that. You see it on tape, and so you got to respect that. So you have to have a plan. Every team has a plan for Aaron Donald when they go into it. It's what that plan is. It's to see how do they react to it, and then how do you counter that, right? So really, those type of players, like when you got basketball players that are scorers, they're going to score. It's just a matter of how much are they going to score. And we got to limit the scoring from Aaron Donald. It's got to be, it's got to be 8 points and 4 rebounds and 7 assists. But you can't get that triple-double.
Matt, you mentioned yesterday that Khalil said, he wants to be the best defense in football. How does he communicate that to his teammates, to you?
He'll tell them when they're in, but he doesn't do it when the coaches aren't. When the coaches are around, he tells them, and then it usually gets back to me from somebody that he's voicing his opinion on where he's at. It's not always during the season too. Sometimes it's maybe it's in the off season, we're talking through watching tape or that sort of deal. But he's he's not a man of many words, but when he says something, he's one of those guys that it totally multiplies and magnifies in what he's saying.
When you hear that, does that
I love
make
it.
you happy?
Oh, heck yeah. That's I built a great relationship with him too over the years. I mean, he's been here we've been together since we've both been Chicago Bears, so I appreciate that, and we built this relationship, and now I'm really excited to see in this 4th year what he's going to do, and I think he is too.